Much better. It's election night in America. I'm Tony Katz from Tony Katz Today. And of course, appreciate you being here with us. Subscribe on YouTube. And election results are already in, and election results are, well, just as sad as you thought. Well, I guess it depends on who you are. Maybe you're okay with Abigail Spanberger not condemning a attorney general candidate, Democrat Jay Jones, saying he wanted to kill Republicans and Republican children. Maybe you like that because according to the data that we see right here, people liked it. And they liked it to the point of giving Abigail Spanberger the win. Abigail Spanberger is the governor-elect in Virginia, beating the lieutenant governor, Winsome Earl Sears. You can see the vote counts right there with only 43% of the vote in. It's already been called. If you take a look at the map right over here, it's pretty easy to see. Alexandria, Richmond, Norfolk, all going where there's more population going for Spanberger. It's not attractive in the slightest. It is not attractive at all. Even if you take a look at who would benefit from the votes that are remaining, it's all Spanberger's to lose. So taking a look at all the updates, the New Jersey race just closed. So this poll, this just closing at 8 p.m. Eastern. So 17 minutes ago, Mickey Sherrill is up right now, but 20% of the vote in. A long way to go. This is a race where Jack Ciattarelli, the Republican, actually has a shot. And I figured for a night like tonight, that required the Endure. That's the cigar that I'm smoking tonight from Perez Carrillo. A lovely, lovely smoke indeed. So let me get on this right here because it's going to be a night. It's going to be a night of disappointment for sure, but maybe that's the wrong way to look at this entire situation. It's Virginia. Was Glenn Youngkin just a fluke? Mark Warner was just that bad that they voted for a Republican, and things have gone so well they decided to go back to a very, very progressive Democrat? Don't understand the math. Is this all rebound hate for Trump and they were going to show him? Even if you have an attorney general candidate wishing death on children, wanting to kill children? Because that's what happened. That is what happened, and it really can't be denied, and yet they won't be held to account for it, which is a quite incredible thing. You won't be held to account for what it is that you've done. We take a look at the attorney general race in Virginia. What is it that we're going to see right now? That the Democrat, Jay Jones, wishing death on Republicans, is ahead of the incumbent, Jason Mayoras. That race is close, and you just saw they did a little bit of a recount there, or just reconfiguring, where Mayoras has picked up a little bit, but he's down now 1.6% of the vote. Over 1.6 million votes have been cast so far, and the difference between them is 25,000 votes. Right now, that's where we're looking at in that Virginia race. And of course, we've got ourselves the mayoral race in New York. That's not done until 9 o'clock Eastern time. So we still have some time for that. You can look at this if you're on the political right and say, my gosh, I guess Trump's not as popular as we thought. I guess Republicans aren't as popular as we thought. Very possible. I just don't know how probable. You could go with the methodology that this is not just a midterm election. This is a true off-year election, and you don't have as many subjects taking place. Still doesn't explain why Virginia would rather see such a progressive. It still does not, answer the questions in that way. I will say, and I'll start with this, that I do not think that Republicans have taken these races aggressively enough or seriously enough. And I can only hope that a little bit of tonight is a very, very eyes wide open to what's in front of them for the midterms. Something we've been discussing on my shows. If you don't know the shows, I host a morning show in Indianapolis called Tony Katz in the Morning News. I host a nationally syndicated midday show called Tony Katz Today, which is heard from noon to 3. And then I do stuff like this because sleep is for suckers and losers. These numbers are just miserable. They really are. Yeah, it's a sad thing to see right now in Virginia. Still too close to call. 51% of the votes remain as the or 51% of the votes have been reported. 49% remain. And of those, the New York Times estimates that the Democrat still has the better advantage in what remains. We'll see how that plays out. And if you're asking, Tony, why are you using New York Times coverage? Because when it comes to the graphics, the Times does this very, very well. And you can do breakdowns in the counties and everything else. They do a very, very good job of it. So you've got the New Jersey governor race. You've got the Virginia governor race. That Virginia's already been called for the Democrat, Abigail Spanberger. New Jersey governor race, we're only 22% of the vote taking place. This is it's funny. So that's Ocean County right there. I used to live up here in Monmouth County. That's not counted yet. President Trump had put out a post on Truth Social and speaking to New Jersey voters, saying, hey, don't forget to get out and vote. And as a follow-up, here it is right here. I didn't know if I had it or not. I just heard that 32,000 Orthodox Jews around Lakewood and Jackson, New Jersey have showed up big for Jack Ciattarelli. My friends in this great community know how important this election is to New Jersey and to our country. There is still time to vote. Well, not anymore. The polls are now closed. This was posted earlier at 5:30 p.m. I'm asking all patriotic citizens of the great state of New Jersey, including all Kollel and Yeshiva students who haven't voted yet, to get out and vote for Jack. I mean, Tucker Carlson hurt worse. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to make the difference or not. It's losing a governor's seat for sure in Virginia, and that's never anything that you want to see. That's never anything that you want to witness. What I would say to you is that going back to how we started this conversation, what are Republicans going to do now that they see this? And certainly when you take a look at California and whether or not they vote for Prop 50, which is whether or not they redistrict, removing 5 Republican seats, what happens then? Will Republicans, for example, in my state, Indiana, and in other states, realize that the game is on? You better redistrict. Look what they're doing. They don't worry about power grab conversations or anything else. That is meant to make Republicans shudder in fear because, well, that's what Republicans do. I don't think you should live in any fear. I think you should redistrict and redistrict immediately. But smoke them if you got them. Because I'm smoking them. Now, I'm not drinking them because I do have to get up early tomorrow. So I'm not imbibing the way maybe I would like to. Yeah, it's not fun. Losing sucks. And part of the, and there is a story here about what you take from it. And the people who think, well, it's all Trump all the time. It's not all Trump all the time. It just isn't. And it's time for a lot of people to just grow up and realize that. But if there's all the money in just being all Trump all the time, and these things aren't going to change. I'm not saying everybody who does things does it just because they're making $1. I am certainly saying that people make $1. We just have to look at these results honestly and clearly and say, yeah, some of this just absolutely, positively sucks it. How else do you say it? How else do you even begin to say it? I'm going to reach out to some people that I know to see if they've got any good insight into what's going on, specifically this Virginia race. Why it went down the way it did. Why is it that Winsome Sears could not get any momentum? What's Abigail Spanberger does not seem like a strong candidate. Just didn't. And so I don't know what it is that is about Winsome that made people say nope. Now, one person or one might say, well, clearly, Tony, they weren't going to vote for a black person. I don't buy into that one at all or in any way. I don't buy into crazy. There's that I would have an outrageously hard time thinking that is the reason or rationale. Is there something that we don't know? Because sometimes these things do happen. There's a story that if we knew, it'd be like, okay, that changes the dynamic of what it is that's going on. And of course, the Associated Press says they've elected Abigail Spanberger, the first woman governor of Virginia. They could have had the first female black governor of Virginia, but no, racists. See? I mean, that's how Kamala Harris's team would have done it. That's how they would have done it. 10,000%. So here we are now following it. I'm Tony Katz, if you don't know. The show I do is called Tony Katz Today. I'm glad you're here. Tell your friends we're going to be here for a while. The cigar is smoking well. And what else can I tell you? We're going to follow these results all the way through. We're going to take your thoughts. We're going to kind of dig in and see where we end up. And then, of course, we have to ask ourselves what we're going to do with the information. And thank you, Chad, for reposting the stream. You should do the same. If you are on Twitter X, let everybody know. This is where it's at. This is what's happening. Let me reach out to some other people. Hold on one second. Thank you so very much for that. So we're the New York City race, of course, doesn't close. The polls there don't close until 9 p.m. So we've got time in that. It's going to take a while to count that and figure that one out. I don't see any way in which Zohran Mamdani is not the next mayor of New York. I just don't see it. I can't visualize. I think the question for us is what does that mean? There are again a couple ways to look at this. The first way to look at this is, you know what? It's New York and screw New York. I accept this theory. I think that is a fine, outstanding theory. I think the bigger story is that, or the other side of that is, these kinds of victories have a way of emboldening people. Really, absolutely awful people who are then going to decide, well, I could take this nonsense ideology of hate and destruction, and I can I could do this where I live. I mean, if Mamdani could do it, that's the problem. The last thing in the world I want is someone inspired by that bigotry, by that ignorance. Don't want that. Don't want any part of that. So when we take a look at that race, the problem is it can spread. That's the problem. This is the Virginia Attorney General race. It is still at that 1.6% spread. The difference is 30,000 votes, almost to the vote. 979,136 for Jay Jones, the Democrat, 949,272 for the Republican, the incumbent, Jason Miyares, the current Attorney General. Now, interesting that, as you see the vote totals just moved there, just interesting that the governor race has such a large spread. This is so tight, split tickets, which again takes people to what exactly did they not like about Winsome Sears? And I don't have an answer for you. I look forward to getting that answer. They're following the results there in Virginia. The polls have closed in New Jersey. Looking at that gubernatorial race, what looks like a runaway right here is not a runaway right here. This is the New York Times results. I just think they do a very good job. Like, you could see how they could break things down to county. There's Monmouth County. That's where I grew up, by the way, in Middletown, New Jersey. Very, very close right there with 41% of the votes in Ocean County. Very big for the Republican, Jack Ciattarelli. And this is accurate. I mean, this is a representation of where a lot of New Jersey is. So, but this right here, where you see the 61% for Mickey Sherrill, that's we're at 27% of the vote total, right? The polling here, I know, never believe just one poll. I'm not a buyer into polling. The polling showed a very, 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 very tight race. So even when we take a look at Burlington County here, 45% of the votes in, with Mickey Sherrill was 65% of that vote. You aren't there yet. With only 27% of the estimated total in, we've got a long way to go. A long way to go in that. Why does New Jersey do this? Why is New Jersey liberal? You would think that, the people of Tony Soprano, they would want something a little stronger, and especially after what's the word I'm looking for? I mean, Phil Murphy has not been a fun governor. This has not been a fun time. You would think they would want something a little bit better for them, a little bit stronger for them, not the same old. But we are in an interesting place as I respond to somebody right now. And let me give you two things to consider here. First, one has to ask whether or not this is Trump response, as opposed to whether or not this is just the standard. It's an off-year election. Republicans are the party in power. Whoop. It's a natural progression of things. It is the way people are. It's the way they act. There are real data points to this. The other one is that, once again, that the methodology of, we talk about the fact that the only thing that the left has is Trump hate. We should discuss the fact that it's also in many ways working. you have already seen people try to assassinate Donald Trump twice. Second guy just didn't get a shot off. The assassination of Charlie Kirk, a political party that states it is okay if you dislike people to engage in violence against them. Hate works. So this is not particularly surprising, although for a lot of people it could be tremendously horrifying to learn that they hate Trump so much they hate themselves. They hate the opportunity for something better. That's crazy. And it is. It's surreal. It is shameful. Is a good way to put it. Shameful to see that people are so just ravenous with hate that they would go to this extreme. Let me see if I can get this going right here. This is in Virginia. Sorry about that. This is in Virginia right here, where Abigail Spanberger victory lap is the next governor of Virginia.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all so much. My fellow Virginians, tonight we sent a message.
Is that right? You sent the message. What message did you send?
We sent a message to every corner of the Commonwealth. A message to our neighbors and our fellow Americans across the country.
And what is that message, Abigail?
We sent a message to the whole world.
Ooh.
That in 2025, Virginia chose pragmatism over partisanship.
What?
We chose our Commonwealth over chaos. You all chose leadership that will focus relentlessly on what matters most. Lowering costs, keeping our communities safe, and strengthening our economy for every Virginian.
Well, that's enough talking points for me.
Leadership.
Wait, do you want me to keep watching? I will. If you want me to keep watching, I'll do it. All right, fine.
Shows leadership that will always put Virginia first. And Virginia, I cannot wait to get to work for you.
Okay, now that was not what you want to see, but not necessarily surprising in that Virginia race. I don't think that is a surprise to anybody that she took it. The polling showed this right now, looking at New Jersey and taking a look at this, 29% of the vote in where the Democrat Mickey Sherrill has a right now commanding lead of 41 points. I'm sorry, 21 points over Jack Ciattarelli, but we're a long way to go. It's only 29% of the vote that's counted. There's a long way to go in that race. One of the other key races we're looking at is the Attorney General race. and the attorney general race, let me do it this way, much better, is now a 1.4% race. It is a 28,000 vote spread with the Democrat who wanted to kill the Republican leader of the Virginia House and that person's kids in the lead. In the lead. Times right there. Andrew Langer often fills in right here for yours truly, and he even put on a collared shirt just to be with us. He's a Virginia guy.
A terry cloth shirt there, Tony.
Well, honestly, if it wasn't you doing the role of Elliot Gould in Ocean's 11, the whole thing isn't even worth it.
I should get out my big old glasses over here.
Good to see. I was texting you about what the story is in Virginia. Give people just a taste. What was wrong with Winsome Earl Sears that Abigail Spanberger was a better choice?
Well, it's a lot of things that are going on here. Some of it is historic and tradition, right? And of course, my parents are calling right away. Historically, you have these issues of the president's party almost always losing the off-cycle elections in Virginia. And so there was already that uphill battle that they were facing. Then there were some fits and starts with the Sears campaign very early on, that some of which got fixed. Some of it had to do with media outreach. And then you've got the very real factor, Tony, of what's going on with the federal employees, the number of federal employees who live especially in Northern Virginia, but also elsewhere in Virginia. And all of these things we're making an uphill battle. It's the Jason Miyares, Jay Jones thing that has me the most disturbed and concerned, because and we wait to see exactly what happens at the end of the day. But that I had expected Miyares to eke that one out.
Yeah, so we're looking at those results right now. This is the New York Times with their tracker. They do a very good job with the tracker over there. Jay Jones is up by 2 points. You have 66% of the vote in, and you can take a look at that map. Andrew, talking to Andrew Langer, Andrew _Langer there on the Twitter X. You can follow him. Alexandria, Richmond, and Norfolk, Virginia Beach. I would think that Norfolk, being a little more military-esque, being a place that wouldn't go for the Democrat. Does anything about this map surprise you at all?
Not particularly. I mean, the fact is, Hampton Roads, which is this area, is the single largest military complex, U.S. military complex in the world, but it also is very urban. It's long been a Democratic stronghold in terms of voters, so it can be incredibly purple in that regard. The Democrats have been fighting tooth and nail for that there. I'm sorry, Tony, let me put this into some additional context here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because it's not just, we can spend some time talking a little bit about Jay Jones, but what is at stake here is very much, listen, a lot of states are looking at redistricting. And the Democrats are driving redistricting in a lot of these states as a way of picking up seats in Congress and trying to, frankly, backdoor their way into a majority. Virginia is no exception. And we had something very strange happen last week where the Virginia General Assembly was called into a special session at which Winsome Sears, because she's lieutenant governor right now, had to take herself off the campaign trail and preside over it, in order for the Virginia legislature to vote to redistrict, going directly counter to Virginia state law. And without a check on this power, right, which is now we no longer have, it is looking increasingly likely that unless the courts find that this was an illegal special session, which if you read the law fairly, it was, once Abigail Spanberger becomes governor in Virginia, and the Democrats maintain their hold over the Virginia legislature, we're looking at some potentially disastrous redistricting going into the 2026 midterms in Virginia.
The redistricting fight is happening here in Indiana, and I am in favor of it. But one should always state as clear as day that everything can backfire. Just because you put a philosophy out there, or in practice, it can have much different results. Of course, you've got California. They're going to vote tonight. We'll get the results 11 p.m. Eastern regarding Proposition 50, which they had to take it to the people in order to do the redistricting because of these independent commissions and other things they have, which is their way of trying to maintain control of the gerrymandering that they've already done. Illinois does this and others. But you're right. This could have disastrous effects for Virginia. What is the take on redistricting in Virginia? They like it? They don't like it? Where are they at?
Well, that's just it. I mean, obviously, Republicans are deeply concerned. I think anybody who's interested in the rule of law is deeply concerned because, again, unlike a lot of states, Virginia has a state law that it's on the books. It's very clear about when and how you go about doing this redistricting process. The Democrats, in a cravenly cynical effort, they have completely gone against Virginia state law to hold this special session. And a lot of folks were like, okay, well, they're holding the special session because they want to get Winsome Sears off the campaign trail for a few days, force her into this, which, by the way, Hashmi, who is the projected winner for the lieutenant governorship, she took a flyer. She didn't show up for the special session. She stayed out on the campaign trail. Winsome Sears couldn't do that. But yeah, the Democrats are all about consolidating their power. That's what they want to do. And listen, by the same token, this is what's happening also up in Maryland. The General Assembly there specifically decided to not have a special session on redistricting. Governor Westmore said, forget it, I'm going to do this anyway. I'm pursuing a redistricting commission. He announced that today. The Democrats are really looking at going into the 2026 election, trying to get the odds ever in their favor.
And Decision Desk is making the statement that Mickey Sherrill has been projected the winner of the governor race of New Jersey. Now, looking at some of the data that I have, it doesn't show that, for example, from the New York Times, because they only have 31% of the estimated vote total, but they often look at where the other votes are coming in from, what those districts are in terms of the population of the registrations of plus Democrat or plus Republican, and they're able to do the math from there. Andrew Langer joins us, of course, fills in right here, does a tremendous amount of super wonky work.
Oh, yes.
There in the world. Does anything about tonight where Republican loses in Virginia, then you're going to have very possibly the Republican lose as the Attorney General of Virginia, the incumbent. He's down by 2.5 points right now. You're going to most probably lose this New Jersey governor's race, even though polling said that it was tight.
Yeah.
This is the standard state of things in an off-year election where Republicans control everything, or is this concerning to you?
No, I mean, listen, I don't think it's particularly concerning. We had higher hopes. We had higher hopes for New Jersey. I had higher hopes for New Jersey than I thought in Virginia. Let me just say one more thing about Virginia for a second.
You can say anything you want about anything you want.
The other thing about Winsome Sears, and our good friend Larry O'Connor said this best last week. He said, the thing about Winsome Sears, and this is going to sound like a knock on her, and it's not meant as a knock on her. She's not a politician in the purest sense of the word. She's not a glad hander. She tells you what's on her mind. It's one of those things where we want to find that refreshing. She's a very genuine person. She's not slick in the same way that Gavin Newsom is. And I would dare say that we don't want our politicians to be slick like Gavin Newsom. We want them to be real people in the way that Winsome Sears is. But in this kind of an environment, it really boomeranged against her. The other thing that I will tell you, the sad thing that this does say, the thing that concerns me, again, setting aside the historic trends, right? We know that it's an uphill battle.
Yeah.
But the fact that Jay Jones, and it's not just that he said those horrible things about the Virginia Speaker of the House and his family, but it's also that he used his power and influence to get out of a criminal speeding ticket conviction, right? 117 miles an hour. Let me tell you something. I don't know if you've tracked this, Tony. Have you tracked this story at all?
No. This one is not
so
something
before the text message story came out, about a week before, this story broke that in 2022, so we're talking right the same time Jay Jones is sending these awful text messages, he was stopped. Now, there's an interstate that I take. As you point out, I'm in Virginia. I live 2.5 hours from D.C. I take a couple of different interstates to get to D.C. One of them is Interstate 64. Now, Interstate 64 is a fast-moving road. The speed limit on it in most places is 70 miles an hour. Jay Jones was clocked doing 117 miles an hour on this highway. And he managed to get a sweetheart deal in which, now that is a criminal reckless driving offense. He got a sweetheart deal in which he got obviously no jail time, no fine. He was sentenced to community service. He did the community service by doing voter registration via his own PAC, his own political action committee, which also reimbursed him for his hotel expenses doing this community service of, and I'm doing air quotes for those folks who are listening, community service for his PAC. And that kind of self-dealing, that kind of elitist maneuvering, that's fundamentally unacceptable, right? It's the idea that nobody else was going to get this level of sweeter deal. Now, that being said, he's also under criminal investigation for whether or not he even fulfilled this community service requirements. And he could very well be the first sitting attorney general in the state of Virginia under active criminal investigation for violating the terms of a plea agreement. I mean, that's what saddens me about this. You've got the Jay Jones situation. You've got all of the allegations against Mikey Sherrill up in New Jersey. And yet, because there is such a level of animosity and antipathy for Donald Trump, Jay Jones says, I'm going to be the vote against Donald Trump. I'm going to use my bully position to go after Donald Trump. He gets elected. Mikey Sherrill gets elected in New Jersey.
While the sentiment is there, the words aren't always perfect. I'm constantly reminded of Golda Meir.
Yes.
Well, peace with the Palestinians when they love their children more than they hate us.
Right.
It is to rational people insane that hating Trump bad, Orange man bad, Trump's a threat to democracy, Trump's a threat to this, Trump's a threat to that, is a way to get people to your side. There's nothing aspirational about it. Yet it does work. Are Republicans prepared for what it's going to take to win midterms, realizing that nonsense, that vitriol, and that is the playbook now for forever? That works.
Well, I mean, listen, I think it's been keeping in mind, the Trump derangement syndrome is a level of rabidness, rabidity that we haven't seen before. We've seen shades of it, right? I mean, this is really just the same thing of calling George W. Bush a smirking chimp, calling John McCain Hitler, calling Mitt Romney Hitler. They're going to call, J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio Hitler. I mean, it's all going to be the same thing. It's just Donald Trump really strikes a nerve. That's where we're going to go here. But to answer your other question, I'm inclined to think that because it is a national election, because it is on cycle and because so much is at stake, that Republicans are going to be more prepared. Plus, it's a whole nother year. Listen, we don't know where things are going to be, what the scandal du jour. I'm just optimistic, Tony, that we're going to be here in another year. I mean, I believe in the simple things.
By the way, not to make you sad, I'm not a guy who likes to make people sad. Decision Desk calling you for Jay Jones.
Yeah, that is sad. I'm putting my glasses on.
It is horrifying. It is a horrifying story. It'd be one thing if a Democrat won. All right, that's not what I wanted policy-wise, fine. Nothing is beyond the pale.
Right.
Nothing is too low. Nothing. And there is a serious lesson that Republicans have to take from this. I'm talking to Andrew Langer. Follow him, Andrew_Langer on Twitter X. Me, I'm Tony Katz. The show that I do is Tony Katz Today, every Monday through Friday, noon to 3, live streaming here. Andrew often sits in the big chair for me when I am unavailable. There's a story here about how Republicans and independents need to understand that there is no bottom for the left. When it was, hey, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, or anti-Semites, call them out, they wouldn't do it. It was, hey, you were shooting at the president of the United States, try and tone down the rhetoric. They didn't do it. The assassination of Charlie Kirk, and there were leftists celebrating it and saying, well, you know, his skirt was too short. There is no bottom here. Yeah. And the right needs to be fully aware of exactly what's happening going into this midterm. And I am not so sure that even the elected officials, never mind the people on the street, understand that the bottom literally digs all the way through. There's never a time where the shovel isn't hitting the dirt.
You know, it's really interesting because I had a conversation today, and you're right. I mean, I do lots of different policy work, and I had a conversation today with a guy named Weifeng Zhang, who is a scholar with the America First Policy Institute. He used to be at the Mercatus Center, and he's doing modeling of the rhetoric of authoritarian regimes as a way of predicting what their behavior is going to be. It's really interesting stuff. He's doing a bunch of other things too. But one of the things that he and I talked about today was the journey of 1,000 miles beginning with a single step, right? The left looks at a goal, you know, and they say it's 50 years down the road. Here's how we're going to transform society in 50 years. Because what we're seeing right now, and a lot of the division in America, is stuff where the seeds were laid back in the late 1960s, early 1970s. And we have to be, you know, have to have an understanding of this. And to your point, Tony, it's the issue of the independents and the libertarians. And the independents and libertarians have to recognize that, you know, they need to wise up and grow up a little bit here, especially the libertarians. You know,
I'm going to get yelled at because of you now. Send your emails to Andrew Langer at yahoo.com. Yes. I have no idea. That's not his email address. But
no. And, you know, you could listen, you can find me elsewhere. We're at Andrew_Langer, as you said, on X. I mean, the bottom line here is, you know, again, if let's say it's not even 80%, let's say it's just 50% plus one, right? If what the guy in power is doing is 50% plus one, what you like, you know, because you don't like the other things, remember that 80% of what the other side wants to do is horrible to you, right? And you have to wise up and vote for those things. You got to remember this. There are real things that are at stake here. You know, we may not like certain individual things. Tony, you and I have talked about this, about the things we can be critical of. But the bottom line here is you got to wise up and remember that they want it. In the same way that the Chinese Communist Party has been instituting a social crediting system. Yeah, you know, it's funny. Somebody today in here where I live in Williamsburg, Virginia, was carping on social media about the fact that Republicans were handing out, and one Republican candidate was handing out breakfast sandwiches to the Republican volunteers out there. And her statement was, well, while the rest of Virginia is starving because Donald Trump is denying them their SNAP benefits, these volunteers are getting free food. And it's like, okay, so many leaps there, not the least of which is Governor Youngkin is using Virginia emergency money to make sure the Virginians get their SNAP benefits. But I, of course, went and checked out this person's social media. And of course, they've got the vaccine badge. They've got the I Stand with Ukraine badge.
Sure.
They've got all of the performative things that are out there. That's what the left wants. They want their folks marching in lockstep. And if you're an independent, if you're a libertarian, if you are some kind of rugged individualist, you have to remember that this is where the Abigail Spanbergers of the world want you to be.
Before I let you go, because you've got a life to lead, Donald Trump has been banging the drum even more aggressively now. Republicans should blow up the filibuster. It should be done. Now, this is what Democrats wanted to have happen. Do these results now create a resolve in Republicans? Get rid of the filibuster, pass everything you can before it's too late?
No, and I think, as you pointed out, because of the boomerang effect that happens down the road. Listen, I think the only silver lining in all of this is that now that the Democrats, now that the Democrats have gotten their engineered electoral victory because they have been pushing and they've shut down the government for over a month. Now they're going to come back to the table and they're going to reopen it because their leverage is there. So we can go back and fight another day and declare victory on all of these things. But hey, man, I'm hoping I'm going to see you next week. I'm going to be in town, so I'm hoping you and I might cut into a nice piece of meat or something.
That is Andrew Langer. He's a good man. I appreciate you, man. Go live your life. Go do your thing. Go be happy. I appreciate him. New Jersey has called the race right now for Mickey Sherrill, which is a shame. Now, I'm looking at the results there via the New York Times, and I still wonder if we are a little too early with only 40% of the votes being in. I think that when you take a look at what that is, and you saw this is, for example, Ocean County, and above that, Monmouth County. This was trending. Mickey Sherrill now trending. Jack Ciattarelli. I think it's a little early to do that. They even say that she could still win by a comfortable margin. I think it's just a touch early. That's all. Not that it won't end up that way. My thanks to Andrew Langer. It certainly doesn't feel good. It never feels good to lose and to see the losses. There can be rational reasons for it that don't have an effect on how we live daily, right? There could be a whole bunch of things that change as we get ready for midterms. I just need to see the move, the aggressive move from the Republican Party when it comes to the midterms and how they're going to move forward. The polls just closing 3 minutes ago in New York. This is the first count, 36% of the vote in. These are the 5 boroughs of Manhattan. 5 boroughs of New York, I apologize. Manhattan, the Bronx, Queens, Brooklyn, and Staten Island. Staten Island has always been a conservative spot, and they have pushed for Andrew Cuomo. So that gold is Andrew Cuomo. The blue is Zohran Mamdani. The red would be Curtis Sliwa, who right now has 65,000 votes. Right now, Mamdani is ahead by 97,000 votes. This is just the start. There was a lot of early voting. So that has certainly had an effect, more early voting than I think has ever taken place in New York. The idea that New York is so screwed, Pete, it has been, and it still wants to be. I want to say for the record, New York is only marginally better with Andrew Cuomo, but it is better. And so the statement that would be made if Cuomo could pull this out, the statement there is, look, we're a left city, but we ain't that. And for all the people who are calling Mamdani the future of the party, which is what they say, it doesn't mean anything. Everybody's always the future of the party. And I also should be clear about the fact that a lot of people have been discussing, including Speaker Johnson, that when you take a look at what Chuck Schumer's been doing with the shutdown And you realize when they end the shutdown the next 48 hours that all of this was to try and get an electoral victory. Lie. Claim Republicans are starving children. Claim Republicans are taking away health benefits. If that was the case, they would keep fighting, but they won't. It was all about the election. Everything they do is a deception. But one of the things that Speaker Johnson has been saying is that you take a look at how Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries have had to bend the knee to the leftist mob, to these progressives. My point to you is that is not true. Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries are the leftist progressives. They are the mob. They're not bending the knee to anybody. They are fellow travelers. They are brethren. They believe the same exact things. Same exact things. Not even a question. So I find it to be not clear enough in its statement when we talk about what it is these people are like and how they connect. They are absolutely arm in arm with their progressive leftist supporters in every single way. It's actually undeniable. The concern I have in the New York race is that it encourages the horrifying concept of communism. Communism has never worked. Communism can't work. Communism brings death and destruction. Communism does not bring about any good bit of value whatsoever. It never has, and it never will. It can't. It's not capable. This was one of the supporters of Mamdani trying to make the claim of what happens when grocery store owners pull out of New York. Sorry about that. Let me bring this to you right here. No, it can't. Oh, that didn't have any audio for you. I will replay that. I will absolutely see if I can get that back really quick and replay it, because I heard it right here. But I will try and make that happen for you. He's making the claim that somehow, if the grocery stores go out, it's okay. If the grocery store bosses leave, it's fine, because what will happen is that the people will rise up and they will run the grocery stores. This is their argument. Let's see if you can hear this.
The grocery store capitalists, which have quite a powerful lobby, right? One of the grocery store bosses, he said of Gristedes, right? He said that he was going to pull out of New York City if Zoran won, right? We would say, sure, pull out, and we will take over your grocery stores, right? And we will use them for cheaper groceries, and we will take over the entire food industry, because that's something that can be done if the working class is organized.
And my point is, no, it's not. You have to know how to run grocery stores. And the person he's talking about from the grocery magnate, Katz, who also owns WABC radio in New York, which shamefully I am not on. What makes this guy thinks he knows how to run a grocery store? What possibly would make anybody think that this guy knows how the grocery business works, how the sourcing works? And what makes you think, if anybody who owns a grocery store pulls out of New York, what in the world makes you think for a second that they're going to leave the coolers, that they're going to leave the plumbing, that they're going to leave the fixtures? Why in the world would you think this? Do you know what kind of child and ignorant fool you are to think that this is true? Communists don't run grocery stores. Communists put whatever food they can find on shelves, make you wait in line, and decide how much of it you can have. When Tucker Carlson, who's been, of course, of much debate as of late, he did the interview with Vladimir Putin. I had no issue with him doing an interview, but other people, I think, were jealous that he got the interview. You get a chance to do an interview, you do the interview. I had no issue with this. When he said, oh, by the way, check out these grocery stores, man, I wish America had grocery stores like this. That's insane. They had a clean grocery store? Should we ask what happened to the people there if they didn't have a clean grocery store? There's no actual level of freedom, yet somehow this is better. He made the same conversation about how safe Abu Dhabi is. I don't argue against safety. I do ask exactly what you're willing to give up to get it, and it is certainly a pseudo-intellectual conversation to make the claim that I see this one thing and therefore it's better, as opposed to recognizing all the other things that aren't valuable, aren't worthwhile, that are a danger and a threat to society writ large, that do not allow for prosperity or for free speech or for a host of things in order to get there. I could end all traffic accidents after 5 p.m. by saying no one's allowed to drive their car after 5 p.m. And you could then say, wow, look at this, a town, a city, a state with no traffic accidents. That place is great. We should all want to be like that. Do we really want to be like that? That is the response to the pseudo-intellectual argument of Tucker Carlson or anybody else who wants to make that argument. In South Africa, you get rid of apartheid, and thank goodness. And then you have a ruling class, we can call it, that sing kill the Boer, kill the white farmer, and take farmland away from white farmers and hand it to others in South Africa who are black, because that's justice. If you hand me a tomato farm, in a year, you won't have any tomatoes, because I do not know how to farm tomatoes. I guess I could learn, but there's a skill set involved, and we shouldn't kid ourselves that that skill set matters greatly. Why would anybody think because you hand a farm from someone who's white and you rip it from them violently and you hand it to someone who is black, the question is not white or black. The question is whether or not they know how to farm. The question is not whether this person or that person owns the grocery store. It's about whether or not they know how to run a grocery store. That's what matters. Capitalism allows people who have an understanding of certain areas, certain expertise, etc., to grow and prosper. Good. I'm better off that somebody else knows how to grow tomatoes and somebody else knows how to then procure them and sell them to me, so I could just walk into a store, bloop, pick it up. You start to realize that the story I pencil is very, very important. Very important. And if you've never seen the talk about this that Milton Friedman has done, you should check it out. It is incredibly, incredibly important and outrageously valuable. Looking at the New York election results right now, the Democrat Abigail Spanberger is now the governor-elect in Virginia. Mickey Sherrill, the governor-elect Democrat in New Jersey, defeating Chitterelli. As I look at those results, 52% of the vote in, 57.6 for Mickey Sherrill, 41.9 for Jack Chitterelli. That is a whole bunch of unfun, guys. That's a shame right there. And now you're starting 52% of the vote reported. I think you're in the place now where you can start saying, well, it's early. This is a hard one to come back from. This is a hard one indeed to come back from. But in that New York City race that we're looking at right here, Zohran Mamdani has 51.2% of the vote. Andrew Cuomo has 40% of the vote. 38% of the vote counted. And here it is. The 5 boroughs of New York. The gold there is Staten Island, always been more conservative, going for Andrew Cuomo. And then Brooklyn, Manhattan, the Bronx, and Queens. Going right now for Mamdani, Curtis Sliwa, the Republican, with 68,000 votes. The spread between Cuomo and Mamdani right now, 95,000 votes. We'll go with 95,000 votes is the spread between them. That's where it remains as we speak. I'm going through some of your comments right now. Ryan, good to see you, man. Ryan Hedrick does the morning news on 93.1 FM WIBC, my home radio station where I do the morning show. He is the morning anchor. Heck of a job. Good man. Good to see you. Thank you all for being here. My name is Tony Katz. The show is Tony Katz Today. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube as we follow these results and get into it and get into what it means. Are Republicans prepared for what is necessary when it comes to winning in the midterms? Do they have even a thought? Are they aggressive enough? Now, I think it was interesting what Andrew Langer was sharing with us regarding Virginia and redistricting, because, of course, this is now going to become an even more front and center subject. If Virginia violated state law, well, then that has to be dealt with, and no redistricting can take place in Virginia. If there's a state law, there's a state law. Redistricting itself is not unconstitutional. It's not. Mid-decade redistricting is absolutely not unconstitutional. But if there is a law on the books that says we don't do that here, well, then that law has to be honored. And so I assume now more than ever, you'll see some lawsuits going far and wide to keep Virginia from doing so. Now you say to me, well, Tony, I thought you favored redistricting. I do, but I can't say you can do it if there's a state law that says you can't do it. And that's up to the people of Virginia. If Virginia passed a law, Virginia can't then just say, oh, well, because if we could start ignoring laws, oh, I have so many laws I would like to ignore right now. I'd be overjoyed to ignore a whole bunch of laws. Taking a look at these election results right now. Let me see what updates we can get. Not only in Virginia did you have Abigail Spanberger winning that race. You take a look at the Attorney General race, which horrifies that Jay Jones threatened to kill the Republican Speaker of the Virginia House and the Speaker's children. The vote has already been called. The race has been called for him. But you still have 20% of the vote to go. MIRS is down by 2.4%. No, I'm sorry. 3.4% is what he is down. He is down almost 100,000 votes right now, with over 2.6 million votes that have been cast. It's true. This is the Virginia governor's race right here. It's it is awful. It is gross. I can't say enough how you have a policy, a program, a philosophy of all hate all the time. All hate all the time regarding Trump. How are you supposed to tell these people to stop when it is indeed effective? Because it is effective. There's no other reason for these things. And as we will also see, the levels to which the political left will go, I was discussing with Andrew Langer that there is no bottom. We have had a shutdown. Tomorrow will be 36 days of government shutdown. And they have told you that Donald Trump is starving babies. And they have told you that Donald Trump is destroying healthcare. Nonstop, there's been a vote opportunity on a continuing resolution, and Democrats refused to vote for it. Refused to vote for it because they wanted to get to this moment to gin up enough hate against Donald Trump to be able to get these victories. And now the word on the street is you will see the Democrats put an end to this in the next day or two. Shutdown will be over. So the shutdown was never about principle. The shutdown was about power. It was about power. It's who they are. Now the question is, do you let these people who for power are willing to let others suffer, do you let them win? Why are Democrats so willing to say okay to this? Why are they so willing to allow this? Well, hate rots the brain. It does. They are truly believers that anything Trump does has to be evil, when of course not everything he does is evil. That's just rational. The border is in a far better place. They won't admit to that. There is serious investment coming into the United States. They won't admit to that. What do they say? Trump capitulated to China. That is not the case. Now, I'd like to see Trump be much harder against the Chinese, not allowing Chinese students into the United States, for one thing. I wouldn't allow the Chinese to own land, the Communist Chinese Party, to own land in the United States. Can't allow the Communist Party to own land in the United States. Not near military bases, not near anything. Nope. It's a matter of national security. What will Democrats say? Where a place where, at least in Biden's term, whatever he was doing certainly wasn't being president. You saw Democrats at least say we got to have some level of toughness regarding China. Now, no matter what Trump does, it's not enough. Oh, it's capitulation. Trying to undercut him while he's having meetings about trade. All hatred all the time. And for those people who think that somehow in 2028 and a new president elected, it won't be like that. Nope. I used to say of Trump in the first term, as they looked at Mike Pence, the former vice president, they would say Donald Trump is Hitler and Mike Pence is worse. They said those words. They're going to say double about J.D. Vance, double about Marco Rubio, double about name the person. They just will. This is the playbook. Because the power is everything. The decency is nothing. I believe that conservatives and Republicans, there being a difference in my view, need to use legal opportunities for doing just that. Redistricting is one of those things. And I do agree that this is not the moment. I don't think we are there yet in removing the filibuster. I don't think you want that. But when the Democrats get power, that's going to happen. It's going to get dismantled immediately. The filibuster is what forces the 60 vote threshold. You remove the filibuster, you can get 51 votes and be good. If they get power, that's absolutely coming. And as Eric Holder explained in a conversation just today, that in the end, they get power, not only are we talking about things like the filibuster, we're talking about much more than that.
The courts have generally held. If you look at what's happening at the district court level, at the Court of Appeals level, doesn't matter who the president was who appointed the judge. The judges have ruled, I think, courageously and correctly. It's only when you get to the Supreme Court that you see these problems start to arise, and it's the use of this overuse of the shadow docket. By taking these cases and essentially deciding them without hearing any oral argument, without any adequate briefing, deciding these really important matters in that way challenges the legitimacy of the court and does an untold amount of damage to the legal fabric of this nation. I think, the reality is, and it pains me to say this, I think the Supreme Court is a broken institution. And it's something that has to be, I think, a part of the national conversation in 26 and in 28. What are we going to do about the Supreme Court? And I think that we have to think about, again, talking about the acquisition and the use of power. If there is a Democratic trifecta in 2028, and I think the possibility of that is pretty good, Supreme Court reform is something that has to be considered. Term limits, I think, at a minimum. Potentially expanding the court is something I think that also should be considered. We cannot leave in place without a discussion, at least, and I think without substantive reforms being put in place, this Supreme Court as it is.
So the Supreme Court is evil. The Supreme Court is broken. And when you get power, you have to use that power to pack the court, engage term limits, and all the rest. They're not shy about it. And we still have Republicans that don't want to redistrict. They want to change the fundamental structure of the Supreme Court. Now, it is true. In the Constitution, there is no number of Supreme Court justices. We just happen to have 9. There's been more. There's been less. You could have 40. Go pack the court right now. I mean, Eric Holder's telling you that it's broken. I don't believe that it's broken. He doesn't like the rulings. I didn't like the ruling on Obamacare. What do you mean it's a tax, John Roberts? What the hell is this? He's saying, I don't like what I'm seeing, therefore, change. So I do think that there is going to be pressure on the filibuster. And I think there's going to be increased pressure regarding the redistricting. And the redistricting, I think, is a no-brainer. And yes, it can backfire. Everything can. Just like on redistricting, just because you redistrict doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to win in the places that you redistrict. Here are Democrats saying, pack the court. Why wait? Let's give Donald Trump a legacy. 37 Supreme Court justices. Man, we're going to have to order extra robes. I don't know, all different sizes. I don't know what we're going to get. There, see if we can get a deal. See if there's something bulk on Amazon. Just look up Supreme Court robes. No, we don't need the wigs. No. We don't do the wigs. I mean, it'd be kind of funny. It'd be kind of funny if Samuel Alito did the wig. I'd laugh. But we don't. Well, no wig. Just the robes. Thanks. This is what they're saying. Why not do it? Why not get it done? More of the vote has been coming in New York. And Mamdani, the lead is down 49.6% of the vote, with 60% of the votes in. That's where we are at right now. So with this, still Staten Island, Andrew Cuomo. You have Brooklyn, Queens, Bronx, Manhattan for Mamdani. Now you notice Queens, this is from the New York Times. They do a very good job with showing off what's happening because you can hit this and see that Mamdani is ahead by less than 15,000 votes in Queens, 58% of the votes in. I do not know if Queens does a switch. But notice Curtis Sliwa has 35,000 votes. If Sliwa wasn't in this race, Cuomo would be ahead in Queens. 10,000 votes for Sliwa in the Bronx. That would put Cuomo less than 8,000 votes out of it. Manhattan, Mamdani would still be ahead. And in Brooklyn, where Mamdani is just crushing it. You know, I was born in Brooklyn. Sorry, I had to move. Maybe I could have helped those people. And Staten Island, where Cuomo is just, it's Cuomo, then Sliwa, then Mamdani. Staten Island should just be its own place at this stage of the game. I think that'd be I think that's where those people want to be. You have to take every single election and ask yourself, what is it that you can learn from it? And then where do you take it? That's the question. Where do you take it? Where does this go? What do you do with it? And certainly what I would like to see is I would like to see a very aggressive approach when it comes to the midterms. Pouring every dollar in. Let me see if I can get this right here. Curtis Sliwa is speaking.
We stay, we fight for what we know is right.
I don't need any part of that. Thank you very much. We stay and fight for what is right. I'm simply saying, Curtis Lee, that you're allowed to run. I can't force you out of a race, but it was a difference maker. It could very well be the difference maker. And you have Winsome Sears speaking right now, Newsmax, with that report.
Downs. You must never stay down. There is nothing down there. You must always rise. It's one life that you have, and it must be lived to the fullest. Your life has purpose. You have purpose.
Lieutenant Governor Winsome Sears conceding the governor's race in Virginia. The next governor will be Democrat Abigail Spanberger.
That is correct. That is absolutely correct. All the trolls are out on social media. You see, Tony, you're wrong on everything. Ha. You win some, you lose some. You just keep at it. That's all there is. I mean, that is indeed all there is. When Barack Obama won the presidency, I was living in California. Sat down at the kitchen table. My wife was there. My brother was there, the good Dr. Katz. And I said some words, and I ate a bagel. That was I don't think I finished it. That's what I could tell you. And the next day I got up, and life went on. I was right. I was certainly right about Barack Obama. I was certainly right about the havoc he would wreak, about the bad policies, about the bad everything. What are we better off with from Barack Obama? The answer is nothing. We're far worse off. Those policies like Obamacare is so great and so valuable and saved so much money and helped so many people that now we have to have subsidies for it. Otherwise, it costs too much. What do you want me to do? What possibly could you want me to say regarding Obamacare. It didn't work. It was a lie then. You like your plan, you keep your plan. You like your doctor, you keep your doctor. It was a lie. It was all a lie. And now go from that in 2008, 2009, 2010, and take it up to what we've been seeing, where we will enter tomorrow, day 36 of the government shutdown. We're protecting healthcare. Trump is going to let children starve. And now that the election is over, we're probably 48 hours away from the shutdown being over. I thought they were standing up for democracy. I thought they were standing up for healthcare. That's what I thought was happening. New York Times calls it. New York Times calls it for Zohran Mamdani. With 50% of the vote, 69%. 69% of the estimated vote total. Sliwa with 120,000 votes, which would have put Cuomo 20,000 votes shy. By the way, 1.5 million votes so far. That's it. I told my wife that if indeed Mamdani wins, we're taking a long weekend, going back to New York, hitting some of our favorite spots, and then we're saying goodbye. How could one go? I'm staring at the clock, and I'm like, I don't even know if we're going to have time to do it. Not going to have time to go to the lowest parts of Hell's Kitchen and eat at Tavola. No time to get to the Guggenheim. Not going to be able to grab a cupcake from Magnolia, which is a little more touristy than anything else, but still a dang good cupcake. No Russ and Daughters. I don't even know if Rice to Riches is still there in the Village. It is like a rice pudding ice cream shop. If it's rice pudding, it's awesome. It's a shame. It's a shame. It truly is. That Americans could be so polluted in this way. It is imperative that Republicans understand, that conservatives understand that the fight is on. There is quite literally a soul to fight for. And some people argue, well, it's the soul of America. I argue it is your own. What do you want for your future? What do you want for your kids? How is this somehow better? A guy who believes in defunding the police, a guy who believes in wealth redistribution, it's his words, not mine. I didn't make it up. It is 1,000% his words.
Difference between a Democrat, a democratic socialist, and a communist.
Well, I'm a democratic socialist who's also a Democrat.
Right.
And when I say I'm a democratic socialist, I explain it in the words of Dr. King from decades ago, who said that call it democracy or call it democratic socialism, there must be a better distribution of wealth for all of God's children in this country.
Right.
And what I actually find is that when you're speaking to New Yorkers, they ask you less how you describe your politics and more whether there's room for them in that politics.
The redistribution of wealth. That's what he's talking about. And any conversation about the distribution of wealth or the redistribution of wealth is Marxism. Oddly, the governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, said he was going to put a 100% tariff. Was that it? Was a tariff on New Yorkers who want to move to Texas? Yeah, governor can't do that. I thought it was cute, though. Thought it was cute. This is the same Mamdani. The same one, who also was very, very clear about his support for BDS.
Critiques of a people and of a faith. And my job is to represent every single New Yorker. And I will do so no matter their thoughts and opinions on Israel and Palestine, of which millions of New Yorkers have very strong views and I'm one of them.
Would BDS be the policy of your administration as mayor?
I've said that I would support and have supported nonviolent movements to bring about compliance with international law.
So he supports BDS, boycott, divestment, and sanction. This is what New Yorkers voted for. And yes, indeed, this is what New York Jews voted for. And I get asked this question all the time. Can you explain it? Can you explain why Jews are liberals, why Jews would vote for Mamdani? And the answer is no. I've been asked this question a million times, inside my synagogue and outside my synagogue. I can't. There are theories and philosophies and a bunch of ways to look at this. And people, Larry Greenfield has written about this, Podhoretz has written about this. A lot of people have engaged this. And I've been thinking maybe, I do a lot of events in my beloved Indianapolis, and I'm happy to go and do them wherever you are. We're happy to put that together. Is this one of them? Is this enough of a question that people would show up to actually hear the thoughts and ideas and not want to turn it into some kind of Tucker-esque, Candace-esque, screaming fest? Because no thanks. Not interested in that. This is what they voted for in New York. So now we take our eyes and we put them on California. Because California is going to now take a look at a ballot measure. That ballot measure is called Proposition 50. Proposition 50 is about redistricting. Now, we don't have results yet. You won't see results Eastern time for another hour. Well, I shouldn't say Eastern time, anytime for another hour and 20 minutes, hour and 18 minutes. That's when we will see those results. I have no reason to think that they won't vote to redistrict. And when they do, they will remove 5 Republican seats. This is retribution for Texas. Texas, following the law, they redistricted. And people said, well, you can't do that. Well, of course they can do that. There's nothing against the law regarding redistricting. There is no issue with redistricting. It's a legal process. It's a political process. California said they can't do that, so we are now going to engage retribution. California will do this. California will do this. You take a look at Maryland, and you take a look at Governor Wes Moore, and he's redistricting because he wants things to be fair.
You're already excited. Happy election evening. Tell us about this effort. Are you trying to Trump-proof any election rigging? And if so, does that mean you have a partisan agenda in this project?
No, it just simply means that I want to make sure that Maryland has fair maps come next November when people vote. And, and just to remind people why we are here, the reason that we are even in this situation is Donald Trump decided that he wanted to try to rig elections because he knew that his policies weren't popular.
When Trump does it, it's rigging elections. When Wes Moore does it, it's about fairness. Now, do we all understand that there is no such thing when it comes to how congressional districts are created by states that has anything to do with fairness? It doesn't exist. It's not real. Well, we've got an independent commission. No, you don't. You gerrymandered in your state, then instituted an independent commission to keep the gerrymandering in place. There is no fairness. It doesn't come up. It doesn't exist. It's a political process. And the people in power who have been voted for by the constituents, they make this decision. Fairness doesn't come into it at all. That is mythology. I would like for grown-ups to be at the table here. So what he's saying here is a lie. Trump policies aren't unpopular. They keep saying it, but it is not factual. Border policies, absolutely popular. What Robert F. Kennedy is doing with MAHA, Make America Healthy Again, popular. Gas prices are down, egg prices are down. Man, bunch of things at the supermarket's still too dang high. Inflation is still there. And tariffs are a pain in the butt because some things still stay at a higher cost. And I don't think that the Trump administration has done a great job with being able to explain how things are better off and how they will be better off. Something they should have been doing months ago and have been doing for months in their messaging. 1,000%. But this from Wes Moore, and I consider him, by the way, there he is, right? No, wait, there. Wes Moore, I think, is the Democratic frontrunner. I know people aren't talking about him. They still want to talk about Kamala Harris. That's very funny. That's hilarious. The idea that somehow Kamala Harris is seriously, in any way, shape, or form, considered a possible candidate, that someone is going to vote for her for this? Nah, not buying it. Some people say Pete Buttigieg is the front runner. Wes Moore. Do not forget the name. Continuing.
So he started picking and choosing which states that he thought should go through processes to determine whether or not they had fair maps. And as soon as this happened, I was just very clear that if we were going to have a mid-cycle conversation, national conversation about who has fair maps, that there was no way that Maryland was going to sit on their hands.
Democrats know how to fight. Republicans want to play the game of, well, we just want to govern. No, we don't do this here. Well, I'm talking about my state, Indiana, where I disagree with the former governor, Mitch Daniels, on this subject, who wrote about this in the Washington Post. I believe he is completely off base. I disagree with members of my own General Assembly. I have said so, and I'm not about to stop. If anything proves the need, it's here. You could argue that Trump fired the starting gun, but it's been fired. And conservatism, as I have always defined it and understood it and focus on it, you must deal with the reality that you have. This is the reality. No laws are being broken. No standards are being pushed. Mid-cycle redistricting, mid-decade redistricting has taken place before in the country. Sometimes court-ordered, sometimes not. And it is for the people of that state to decide whether they approve or disapprove of it. And they can vote out members of their General Assembly or whatever they have there as their state apparatus. What you see from California, what you see from Maryland is, well, I guess we're doing this too. And what you see from Republican states is, I don't know. We shouldn't want to be like that. If you want to argue that you just wish things went back to normal, if you want to argue that, you can. I put forth to you that nothing coming from the progressive left is normal. What they do is not normal. Meanwhile, in a race very few people have been watching, this is Pennsylvania, where they have decided to retain the 3 Democrats on the Supreme Court. Were these some of the state Supreme Court justices who decided that they could usurp the Pennsylvania legislature when it came to how you engage the vote in 2020? Oh, we could change times. Oh, we can allow for 3 days after the election. Oh, you don't even have to have a signature. These are the people you retained. Yeah. Rough night. And tomorrow we'll get up and we'll keep on at it, because that's all there is. That's all there ever is. Just staying at it. By the way, this is the map right now in New York. Right there. That's a lot of gold. As more and more of the vote has come in, Mamdani 50.5%, Cuomo 41.3%. We should be clear that Mamdani has not gotten 1 million votes. More votes than Cuomo, but has not gotten 1 million votes. And you see the breakdowns in Brooklyn and in Queens. By the way, what is the... No, Mamdani has 62% of the vote. That's not Queens and Toto. That's specific counties going on there. That's more gold than I thought you'd see. More for Cuomo than I thought you would see. Rough night. Guys, it happens. Rough nights do happen. You get back up. And that's exactly what I will do. You go to WIBC.com tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Oh, yeah, I'll be there. I'll have the full and complete breakdown of everything. And then again, at noon, Tony Katz Today, which is noon to 3, we live stream right here on YouTube. Right here on the YouTubes, starting at noon. Subscribe right now. Go ahead and subscribe. And of course, everything, you can find it all at TonyKatz.com. That's where we've got everything. Everything is going on there. We do it all there. I appreciate you guys being with me as we've been covering these elections, engaging with it. The results from California are going to have to wait for the morning for me. That much is for sure. Can't thank you guys enough for being here, being a part of what I do. I hope you'll join me at noon tomorrow. If you're new here, hey, welcome. Thanks. I appreciate it. Go to TonyKatz.com, subscribe on YouTube. Go right now. Go to youtube.com/Tony Katz and subscribe. Guys, can't thank you enough. I will catch you tomorrow at 6 a.m. At WIBC.com for the morning show there. And then again at noon right here. So be sure to check it out. You can get it on Twitter X, Tony Katz, Facebook, Tony Katz Radio, and YouTube, Tony Katz. Tomorrow, everybody. You take care.